Hello to anyone tuning into this. You are watching the Lower Back Health Workshop. I honestly had to re-record this because it didn't record the first time. So you are just going to get an even better one the second time around. So let's just get right into it. Today, actually, I'll just share my screen and talk about what it is we're going through. So as you can see here, it is our lower back health workshop. I'm so excited to share all of these wonderful gems to help you get out of back pain and figure out how you can create more agency over how you experience your whole body health. So just to begin, I wanted to share a little bit of why I started doing these workshops. My intention for 2024 was to build community and help all of my loved ones, my family, friends, past and current clients who have become family, achieve and experience the best quality of life by empowering you all with the knowledge, support, and resources on how you can take more agency over how to take better care of your body through intentional movement and education. So for those of you who I haven't had the chance of seeing for so long, live far, these are for you. So let me know what you get out of this. So before we jump in, something that I asked all of my participants was, what brought you in today? So I'm going to drop a survey to your email right after this, just to share about, that gives you a chance to share what had motivated you to want to seek this out so that I could better support you, whether that is, again, how to address any lower back pain, finding out that certain movements or activities just don't feel as good as they once did, and you want to get back into doing them. Another option is learning more about spinal health, since that is a lot of what constitutes to our longevity and our ability to move and defy aging, or just to say hi, which is totally fine with me as well, or all of the above. So a little brief rundown of how the next 35 minutes are going to go. I'm going to talk about first the most common factors that tend to exacerbate back pain. Then we're going to go into my favorite effective movements for helping improve spinal health and mobility. And then we're going to do some functional movement retraining, which is just as important as the mobility part, because once we lengthen, we must teach our bodies how to also strengthen in these new postures and positions. And then we'll go over my exclusive bonus offerings to you just because you decided to tune into this. And my goal is just to help support you to the highest capacity that I can. And then quick announcement, my next workshop will be in 2 Saturdays on May 3rd at 9 a.m. So stay tuned for that. All right, so the 4 most common factors that contribute to lower back pain. Number 1 is sleep hygiene. I'm not just talking about the number of hours we sleep at night, but actually the quality of sleep that we get. So if you find yourself waking up, tossing and turning, or when you wake up in the morning, you feel sore, these are small cues that there's something going on while you are sleeping, because we are in bed for about 6 to 8 hours, ideally. So if we are in some odd posture for that many hours at a time, naturally certain muscles and certain parts of your body can get in an awkward position. So as soon as you get yourself up out of bed, it could freak certain muscles out. So a couple things to look into are your sleeping position, whether you're a big side sleeper, and if so, looking at your pillow height, and then how old your bed is, because the older your mattress is, the softer it is, the more risk your lower back is for getting really tight and sore. So something to look into. The next factor is stress. I feel like all of us know in this day and age, we are experiencing some kind of stressor, if not stressors, whether it's personal, professional, in the collective. Clearly, there's so many things going wrong. But the important part is to ask ourselves, how are we managing our stressors? Do we have a healthy outlet that enables us to be able to, let that stress out? For some people, it's working out, moving their bodies, running. Some people, it's breath work, meditation, which are a lot of my own personal favorite ways of helping manage stress, which is something that I'm planning on going over in a whole different workshop. So stay tuned for that. But the reason why this is so important is not only because of how much stress can impact us mentally and cognitively, but also how much it also impacts us physically. When we hold so much stress in our bodies, you can literally notice your body tensing up and feeling that in your neck, in your lower back. So, even as simple as shaking your arms out, doing some nice stretches here and there when you get the chance throughout the day, and just going on a walk. Very, very small, simple strategies on how to just mobilize and move some of that really dense and stagnant energy so that it doesn't manifest in your neck or in your lower back or anywhere else. Number three, posture. Posture is such a hot word that is clearly going around, especially after the pandemic, since many of us transitioned to working from home. And what I've noticed has been such a prominent pattern in the patients that I see coming in with neck pain, lower back pain, chronic aches and pains all over their bodies is that they find themselves sitting at a desk for hours at a time, or they're sitting in a car for hours at a time. And why this is so, so impactful on our lower back is because when our bodies stay in this hunched over posture for hours at a time, notice how all of those muscles that run down my back have to work even harder to maintain myself in this position. Kind of equivalent to us staying in a squat for 8 hours at a time. Eventually, it would get really, really exhausted. So, my biggest recommendation is to start by asking yourself, what positions does your body tend to be in for most hours of the day? And on the other hand, what things tend to make your body feel better? And if you answered moving around tends to help it, doing a little bit of stretching here and there kind of helps it, then best believe the answer to your back pain is going to equate to more consistent movement throughout your day. So note here, if you perform the next 5 exercises that I'll be sharing at the next half of this workshop, at least every 20 to 30 minutes, ideally speaking, but I know it's not practical, at least once on the hour throughout your workday, this will help prevent the excessive buildup of stress in your lower back. And I promise you, this is going to be such a big game changer in how you experience lower back pain. So stay with me here. Our last factor, we went too far. Our last factor is inactivity. So how much we move our bodies translates to how well our backs feel. Just like our last slide, talking about the body, our postures that our body is in, will naturally dictate what muscles tend to be working more than others. So if you see right here, this slouched posture, you can tell that those muscles that are trying to support him from basically falling onto his desk have to work really, really hard. So what we need to do is move your body for at least 5 minutes, or even if it's just 2 to 3 minutes every hour is actually more effective than doing that 2-hour HIIT workout or group fitness workout that you do at the end of the day or sporadically throughout the week. So yes, you heard it correctly. My recommendation is if you got yourself up, did a little bit of stretching for a few minutes on the hour, as opposed to just thinking, oh, well, I'm going to work out later, so that's going to be fine, is going to be so much more beneficial doing the former. Because think about the number of hours we have in a work week or in a week in general, 168 hours. And if you are only working out, moving your body for 30 minutes to an hour once a day, that is only 7 hours, ideally speaking, out of your 168 hours that you are moving your body or sleeping. So getting as much movement in your body is going to be so beneficial. Okay, so now let's go into more of the specifics. What happens to your body, mechanically speaking, when we aren't paying attention to these different factors? So biomechanical causes for lower back pain that not many people talk about. So I'm going to show you all a visual that I've adapted from Built for Science. So here we can see that when we are sitting for prolonged periods at a time, this causes a muscle in the front of our hips called the psoas to get super, super tight. When this muscle shortens, this becomes even more problematic because of how high it attaches into our lumbar spine, as you can see right there where it is pointing towards. So another thing to add, not to stop there, is when that muscle gets super tight, it actually pulls our pelvis forward into what is called an anterior pelvic tilt. When we are shifted too far forward, or our pelvis, that is going to create more stress and compression throughout your lower back. And it just creates this vicious cycle of hip flexors or the psoas gets tight, that pulls on your pelvis forward, and that causes your lower back pain to get really, really exacerbated. So that's one contributing factor. Okay, and then the next thing is weak and stiff hips. This causes more stress to transfer up into the spine whenever we move, run, exercise, which also translates to increasing lower back pain. So if you've noticed that your lower back pain exacerbates after doing exercise, then this is something to tune into, because a lot of people tend to overlook strengthening their hips specifically. And I'll get into this towards, again, the next half of our workshop. And then the last factor is decreased core and glute muscle coordination, which again, I'll go into a little bit more in just a bit. So now that we've gone through all of those things, you're like, okay, Angelica, I get it. So can you please just tell me what I need to do to fix my lower back? I got you. So let's get into it. So we are going to start with my few go-to exercises that you can start implementing on the hour so that you can start to decrease how much stress gets placed on your lower back just because of normal functional activities such as sitting, standing for a long time, or driving in traffic. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let me just stop sharing this first. Hello. Okay, so exercise time. Well, it's more of mobility, so you'll see. So let's go ahead and start in the tabletop position. All you need is a mat here, and if you want for comfort, you can grab a towel or a pillow for your knees. And we are going to start with our old-fashioned cat-cows. Nothing beats a good cat-cow just to help with getting all of that stickiness out of our spine. So what you're gonna do is stack your wrists underneath your shoulders and then your knees underneath your hips, keeping them hip distance apart. So what I want you to do is focus on doming your back up towards the ceiling, pressing your palms into the floor, kind of like a cat. Well, it is a cat. And you're going to drop and arch your back up towards the ceiling, and your head follows that same position. We're going to go through 8 cycles of this. Research shows that you honestly don't need any more than 8 cycles of a cat-cow, because anything more than that can actually be a little bit more detrimental. That's not to be a scare tactic, but simply just to save you some time. So what I like to do is inhale as you drop down into a cow, and exhale all that air out as you raise your back towards the ceiling. So if you feel any pain at end range, limit the motion here. I don't want you to exacerbate anything. This is simply to show you the range that your back can go. So let's do 2 more here. You're going to shift your pelvis, tuck your tailbone in, suck the belly button up, and lift through there. Drop the belly button one more time here, and really feel that here. You can kind of circle your knees on the ground, just get other parts of your back muscle fibers to lengthen here. And then one more time. Beautiful. Inhale and exhale through pursed lips, and then come back into neutral. Beautiful. So now that we've started opening up some things in our spine, what we are going to do is open up that psoas muscle that I just showed you in the last slide, that attaches all the way in the front of your hip, kind of like inside of your groin, and all the way up into your lumbar spine. Once again, as it was showing, if that muscle gets really tight, it pulls on your pelvis forward, which puts more pressure on your lower back, and we don't want that. So traditionally, a lot of people think, oh yeah, I stretch my hip flexors in this position, right? But 1, that doesn't really get to the psoas, and 2, notice how easy it is for us to just dump into that anterior pelvic tilt, which is the complete opposite of what we are trying to achieve here. So what you are going to do is go into a split stance. So one foot in front of the other one back behind you in a hip distance apart. And then what I want you to do is reach that hand down towards the ground. Back leg is going to be slightly bent. And you're going to reach that opposite palm up towards the ceiling. Kind of imagine like you're high-fiving the ceiling and you want to reach so that you're lengthening up through your side here. And imagine like you're reaching your hip bone down towards the floor so that you're stretching that muscle through both ends. Take a deep breath here. Inhale. And exhale, and then slowly come back up out of that bent position. We are going to do that 6 times on each side. So reach those arms in opposite directions, slight bend in the back knee, reach like you're high-fiving the ceiling. Stay down there for 1 deep breath. Inhale and exhale. Again, here for 3. Reach, high-five that ceiling or high-five the sky above you wherever you are doing this, and then come out of that 3 more times. I'm gonna give you a little side view one more time. Inhale and exhale. 2 more times. You're gonna start feeling that open up a little bit more each repetition. That's what we want. Continue to tuck your tailbone in. Good, and then out 1 more time. Inhale. Reach as best as you can. And out of that, let's go ahead and switch sides. Shake that out a little bit. That can feel a little achy. It's totally normal. It means that muscle hasn't been lengthened in that position for a long time. So let's go ahead and switch that leg there. Reach that hand down towards the ground. Other hand is high-fiving the ceiling. I like to kind of use a flat palm towards the sky or the ceiling because it accentuates how much your side feels that stretch here. Remember, aim your hip as if it's reaching down for the floor and bend that back leg. And then out of here. Good. 5 more times. Deep breath. Reach. And out 4 more times. You just want to hang out here for a whole cycle of a deep breath or 2 to 3 seconds. Good. Reach. High-fiving the ceiling. Good. Tuck that tailbone in. Don't let your hips roll forward into that anterior pelvic tilt. And then out. And then 2 more. Good. And once again, just go within the range that's comfortable for you. There's no need to go right into the end range because sometimes too much can be actually detrimental. And last one. Good. And shake those hips out. Good. Okay. So now that we've started stretching and working on the flexibility of the muscle tissues, we want to actually start mobilizing the hip joint, meaning creating space in the hip socket itself. So we are moving into an exercise called hip airplanes. So what that means is you're going to go into a single leg stance, and I really want you to ground your foot into the floor. So imagine you have 3 points of contact: the base of your big toe, your pinky toe, and then your heel. So you're going to really feel the muscles on the inside of your shin and on the outside really working hard here. Before we float that leg up, I just want you to experience that here. Good. And then drive that foot into the ground. Perfect. Once you've really grounded yourself into the floor, we're going to float that back leg. So shift your body weight forward. So I'm going to shift here, shift your body weight here. And then what I'm going to have you do is put your hands on your hips, and you're going to twist your hip into the leg that's standing. And then you're going to open up your hip in the complete opposite direction. This is really challenging your single leg stability here and also working on strengthening your hip stability muscles. Good. We're going to do 4 cycles here. So that was 1. If that is too challenging for you, just bring that toe down towards the ground, because what I really want you to focus on is twisting in and out from where your pelvis is. Notice how I'm not twisting through my torso. I'm twisting, opening up through my hip. Big difference there. Good. 2 more. The reason why we're focusing on this is because stiff and weak hips can cause more motion to be transferred up to our spine when we exercise, therefore increasing our lower back pain. So let's do 1 more. And then, let me try that one more time. And rotate back in one more time. And shake that out. Whew. All those ankle muscles that are working to stabilize your ankle is probably burning. That's a good thing. We want those muscles to work as well. So let's go ahead and switch to the other side. Same thing, get your bearings, plant that foot, find your tripod, so the base of your big toe, your pinky toe, and then your heel. And then I want you to start focusing on tuning into those muscles on the inside of your shin bone and on the outside. Those are your stabilizer muscles. So if you've ever noticed when you're exercising or when you're walking or going hiking that your ankle has a tendency to almost like give out, these muscles are what you want to strengthen. So we can definitely go into that in a whole different workshop. Okay, before I go on a tangent, let's go ahead and go into our airplanes. Load that leg up. Keep that core braced here. And we're going to twist that hip in and open up. Twist, making sure that twist comes from the hip, not from the torso. And we're doing 2 more here. This is even challenging for me, honestly. So I am right here with you, my sisters, brothers, whoever's watching here. Good. And one more, feel that burn. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze that glute and relax, shake it out. Beautiful. Okay, so the next exercise for this little series is a spinal floss. So this is particularly beneficial for days when you are sitting at a desk for too long or you feel a lot of tension right around your middle back because of this posture. So what I want you to do, you can do this standing or on your knees, whatever is easiest. And you're going to interlock your fingers, palm facing away from you. And you're going to lift those arms up overhead. You want your shoulders to tuck down your back away from your ears. And you're going to lift those palms up towards the ceiling. Take a deep breath here, feeling that ribcage expand. And exhale all the way out. Let's go ahead and inhale. And exhale all that air out, really feeling your shoulder blades roll down your back here. Good, inhale. And exhale if you want to add a little back bend there while making sure that your rib cage doesn't flare out too much. You can just brace your core just a little bit here. And then release those arms, shake it out. We're going to do one more set of those. So let's go ahead and reach, interlock those fingers, raise them up towards the sky. Imagine like you are being stretched from both ends, your knees really planting into the floor as you are reaching your palms up to the heavens, up to the sky, wherever it is that you are. And gently bring those arms out and relax. So those are 4 super, super simple exercises that you can do throughout your day. Feel the energy that is just running through all of your muscles right now that are now lengthened and opened up. And just do that as many times throughout your day. So the next part of this workshop is called functional movement retraining. So now that we've done a lot of hip and lower back mobility, we want to make sure we also address the common functional movements that we do, such as squatting and lunging and all those things, so we don't re-injure or re-exacerbate any of those lower back muscles. Okay, so what we are going to start with is proper core activation. A lot of what's out in the fitness community, health and wellness community, will show you the craziest core exercises, but I believe if we just learn how to properly engage our core, we would save ourselves from so much hassle and so much lower back pain. So let's go ahead and lie on our backs with, I'm a little tired, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so you wanna plant your back on the mat here. You want your knees bent, hip width apart. And first we are going to just look through, focus on where your pelvis is in space. So put your hands on your hips. So the best analogy I like to think of is our hips are like a bowl of soup. So if we were actually sitting upright, we want to make sure that that bowl of soup stays neutral, or else that bowl of soup is going to just fall out and spill. So same thing here. See where your hips are in space. And I want you to actually explore the range that they can go. So you're going to arch your back, allow that bowl of soup to tip forward. So we're allowing it to spill here just so you can feel what it feels like. And if you're starting to notice that's a little jammy in your lower back, just back off a bit. And then we're going to reverse that pelvis positioning back, tucking your tailbone in, squeezing your glutes. And that probably feels a lot better because now we're creating space in your lower back and your pelvis. So let's just cycle through that a few times, just within the range that's comfortable for you. So when your hips are shifted forward, or when that bowl of soup spills forward, that is called an anterior pelvic tilt. And remember, in the last slide we just went over, that anterior pelvic tilt is actually what also can exacerbate our lower back pain if it is in that position for too long or for too excessively. So let's go ahead and flip that position, tuck your tailbone in. And now this is called a posterior pelvic tilt. So we don't want to be in too far of a range. One sec. Oh, I thought it froze. Okay. So we don't want to be in either position too excessively. So what we're going to do is find that neutral position. So go ahead and flatten your back onto the ground. So if you put your hand underneath your back, it can't come out. So this is what's called your neutral form, neutral pelvis, whatever you want to call it. So when you're doing upright exercises on your back, you want to maintain this position, or else you're just going to strain your lower back. So in this position, if you put your hands on your belly, you'll notice that your core is a little bit engaged. So let's tap into that. And now this is where I teach you how to properly engage your 3 sets of core muscles. So we're going to go through how to activate each part individually. So the first part is right above, underneath our rib cage. The middle part is right underneath our belly button. And then the last part is right where our pelvis is. So what you want to do is initiate the top part of your core by taking a deep breath. So go ahead and put your hands on top of your ribs. Take a nice deep breath, inhale. And then as you exhale, drop your rib cage down towards the mat and feel your core engaged here. You could kind of give it little taps just to kind of help that, reinforce that. Good, and then relax. So now moving down to our middle portion, I want you to just think about bringing your belly button to your spine, which is probably what is most familiar to you. Whenever we go to Pilates classes, group fitness classes, they're like, belly button to the spine. That's actually primarily addressing your middle portion. And now let's move all the way down. So you are going to tuck your tailbone in, squeeze your glutes, and then imagine like your hips are swiveling around a stick that runs right through your hip bones. And that's how you engage your lower core. So go ahead and relax here. We're going to put all of those parts together, starting by initiating from the top and all the way to the bottom. So go ahead and take a deep breath, inhale. And as you exhale, drop your rib cage down to the ground, really cinching that together. Bring your belly button down to the mat, and then tuck your tailbone in. Keep that nice and engaged here. Hold it. Put your hands on your core so that it cues you if you let it go. And then cycle through your breaths here. I don't want you to hold your breath. That's the biggest thing. So keep it nice and engaged. 10, 9, squeeze, 8, 7, 6, squeeze, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax. Great. We're going to actually add that to a couple more movements just to make it a little challenging. So go ahead and tap into your entire 3 set of core muscles by taking that deep breath. And eventually, my goal is for you to be able to just engage these automatically without having to cue in with a breath. But it's the best way to really use your upper core muscles. So inhale. And then exhale, cinch your rib cage together, belly button to the spine, tuck your tailbone in, and feel your lower pelvis engaged. What you're going to do here is bring one leg up to 90-90, and you're going to gently tap that without letting go of that lower pelvis. It's so easy to let go of this here. So we're gonna alternate. Keep that hand on your lower pelvis. If you let go, you have to restart. So we're gonna do 10 here. Make sure that you're still cinching your rib cage together, your belly button's down to the floor. And you wanna make sure that your spine isn't lifting up off of the mat. Good job. And 4, exhale, 3, and 2, and 1. Go ahead and drop those legs to the ground. If you are noticing any cracking or crunchiness in your hip bones, as long as there is no pain, you are okay. That is your hip flexors just running over different prominences in your hip bones. So now let's challenge that a little bit more. We are going to float those knees up to a tabletop position. Make sure that your knees are right on top of your hips. Keep your core engaged here, keeping that rib cinched, belly button down to the floor, and tuck your tailbone in, keeping your back nice and flat on the mat. I don't know why I keep saying table. So keep it here, and you're going to do the same thing, but reverse. I like to inhale as my knee comes up, exhale that leg down. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good, we're gonna do 6 here. Good, don't let your back come off of the ground whenever you lower one leg. So keeping your back flat, lower belly nice and engaged. And 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. Good, and lower those legs down. So that is just the basic foundation of engaging your core. I'm going to progress this in a whole different workshop of how you can engage your core under more challenging conditions. So stay tuned for that. Let's go ahead and roll onto our stomachs here. We're just going to reverse that motion into a Sphinx pose just to get our bodies in a little more extension. So what you're going to do is plant your forearms on the mat. You're going to take a deep breath, inhale, and exhale. Press your forearms and your hands on the floor away from you, keeping that neck nice and long, shoulders away from your ears. And you're going to cycle through that 5 times. Okay. And exhale. Press, 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 press. Good. And if you feel any back pain or tension here, once again, go through the range that's comfortable for you, or brace your core a little bit, because that's also going to prevent you from overarching in your back. Good. 2 more here. And if you want just a little bit more of a stretch, you can slightly come up onto your elbows just to the point that's comfortable for you. It is not necessary for you to crank your back and just straighten your arms out. Just go to the point that is comfortable for you. And take 1 deep breath. And exhale. Great. So next thing we are going to do is we are going to go up into standing and practice that same core bracing in a squat position. Okay, so I'm going to give you a side view so you can see my belly here. So do 2 basic squats. Good. You want to make sure that your feet are just slightly wider than hip width apart. If it feels good to you, you can do slightly toe out. Everyone has different hip orientations, so that's really up to you to figure out. Or if you want to do a movement session with me to find out your perfect squat pattern. Perfect. I say that very, very subjectively. Anyway, so let's do 2 here. Good. All right, so if you notice any strain in your lower back, or if you experience strain in your back when you are squatting, deadlifting, or whatever, listen up. If you look at my hips here, if you imagine that there was a stick going from my back down to the ground in the same orientation of my hips, you can see that it is slightly forward. We want to be mindful if that drops down a little bit too much, because that's going to put more strain on our lower back. So what we want to do, you can kind of put your hand on your belly and on your back to maintain that same neutral posture. Remember to engage your ribs down but making sure that your shoulders don't hunch forward at the same time. So keep those nice and open. So engage the core, belly button to spine, tuck those hips in. And you're going to maintain that same position as you drop down into a squat and drive through your heels, the back of your feet as you lift up, squeeze those glutes. Keep your core engaged as you drop down. Exhale. Drop down, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze through here so your belly doesn't go forward, and then drive through the feet. We're gonna do 10 here. We just did 3. Drive through your heels, and you could transfer your hands onto your hips just to continue cueing your hips to maintain that neutral posture and your core engaged. Good, 4 more. And if you want to challenge this, you can add an arm portion with it while maintaining that proper upright position. You can add a little bit of an overhead, and 2, and 1, good. Take it out. So lots of variations there. We are going to do one more set of those just for good practice. I'm gonna do it with the arms, so you are welcome to do that. If you want to just focus on cueing into your core, totally okay as well. So let's do another 10. Good. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Inhale, drive through your heels. You want to make sure that you're driving through your heels so you're actually engaging your glutes and hamstrings and not being so quad dominant, which is what happens for a lot of us. Good. Imagine like you're sitting back into a chair, drive through those heels. Sit back into a chair, drive through those heels. Good. Last 2. And 1. We're going to hold it at the bottom here. Keep that core engaged. Keep that core engaged. Back nice and flat. And we're going to pulse. 10, 9, 8, 7. I'm putting my hands up here just for an added challenge. If you want, you could keep your hands on your hips. 5, 4, 3, 2, and up. Woo, good job. I need a little bit of a breather, so just give yourself a little bit of a shake here. So the next exercise before I let you all go is just a little bit of a cool down. So let's go ahead and drop into a tall plank here. Just root yourself into your hands here. Staying nice and tall, and I'm gonna have you take a deep breath and push your hips up into the ceiling into a downward dog. We're gonna cycle through a couple deep breaths here, and I just want you to walk that dog, feeling all of your calves and hamstrings stretching here. Let your neck relax here, just letting your head drop in between your elbows. Beautiful. Now you're going to inhale, one leg up towards the ceiling, keeping your glutes engaged, bracing your core slightly, and you're going to open that hip up. Good, inhale. And you can do some ankle circles in one direction, and then the other direction, seeing what feels good. And then beautiful, drop that down. You're going to step that foot right on the outside of your hand, and we're gonna go into the infamous world's greatest stretch. I love this stretch. It just really opens up the spine, and you're gonna reach that arm up towards the sky or the ceiling and take a deep breath here. Drop that hand down towards the ground, and we're going to open up in the opposite direction, allowing your elbow that's on the arm that's on the ground to slightly push that knee away so you can accentuate the stretch of your inner thigh. Deep breath and exhale. Beautiful. Float that hand back to the ground, kick that leg back out into a high plank, and you're going to push your hips up into a downward dog. And once again, just walk the dog a little bit. And then go ahead and inhale. That opposite leg, open up your hip to the side, brace your core just a little bit, just to prevent your back going into too much extension. Cycle through a couple ankle rolls in one direction and in the other direction. And then bring your hip back to neutral, step that leg forward on the outside, and then open up. Take a deep breath here. Let's stay here for a few moments. Just recognize that you are showing up here for you, to better you, and just really thank yourself. Bring that arm back down, switch to the other side. Good. And then you can experiment twisting a little bit more so you could feel a little bit more in your hip as well. One last breath before we float that arm down. Inhale and exhale. Beautiful. Float that hand back down. Bring that leg back to your tall plank. Shift into one last down dog. And then you're going to bring yourself back into a plank and slowly lower yourself down into a little bit of a cobra. Good. And now you're going to gently push yourself up into a child's pose. And we're going to hang out here for a couple breaths, just allowing yourself to sink in. Allow yourself to relax your head onto the floor, relaxing your forehead and your neck, and allowing yourself to just feel the energy in your body now that you've mobilized so many different parts that have just been waiting for you to pay more attention to them and give them love. We're going to cycle through 2 more deep breaths here. Inhale and gentle exhale through pursed lips, nice and quiet. And inhale one more time. And as you exhale, notice your shoulders relax and melt a little bit more down towards the yoga mat. And I want you to gently walk your hands up closer to your knees. Head comes up last. And then I'm going to face you all. You can stay right where you are. And you're going to roll your neck up 1 vertebrae at a time. Roll those shoulders back. And we're just going to do some gentle shoulder rolls. Good. And then you're going to place one hand on the ground. One hand reaches up, 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 up towards one end of the room. And you can accentuate that stretch by looking up underneath your shoulder. One last breath here. Come back to center and switch that. Reach, 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 keeping that hip planted down towards the yoga mat. And then this hand reaching in the complete opposite direction. Go ahead and peer underneath your elbow. Breathe in all of that fresh air. And then float that arm back down. And we're going to take 3 last big breaths here. So go ahead and inhale. And swan dive your arms back down. Exhale. Nice and makes it audible. Inhale. Last one. Beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me today. I invite you to actually close your eyes for this one moment here and just place your hands gently on your thighs. And I want you to simply take a moment to be with yourself here. Thank yourself for showing up for you today. It is so easy for us to shortcut on things that allow ourselves to show up in our best light. But today, you did not do that. You decided to take a step towards bettering yourself and allowing yourself to make space for what makes your body feel good. And imagine what your body will do for you when you make more space consistently, not only today, but tomorrow and throughout the rest of your week. Give yourself a little hug, bringing your arms on both sides of your elbows and just simply giving yourself a little bit of an arm hug. Slowly bring your hands to your chest here. Feel your heartbeat. Take 3 last breaths. Feeling yourself calm down and your shoulders melting down your back. And last 2, inhale. And notice how any mental chatter just starts to dissipate. And one last beautiful inhale into your lungs here. And exhale any energy that no longer serves you. And then go ahead and take your time here. Slowly flutter your eyes back open. And just look around you and notice the lightness of the world around you. Thank you for joining me today. I am so grateful that you spent this time with me today. And I hope you learned something that you can carry on into the rest of your week that will help with whatever pains you may be having, or just simply trying to better and improve your overall health and wellness. Before I send you off, I just wanted to share a few bonus offerings simply because you took the time to give yourself the love that you needed. So let me go ahead and share that with you all. One moment. So let me bring that up again. So just a few announcements. I will be emailing you a feedback survey. Drop your email. Oh, I already have your email. This is actually for people who are here live, but this should take no more than 5 minutes. Please take a moment to fill this out. This simply gives me more information on how I can better these workshops to help you. I'm just beginning to do this, so any of your feedback, honest feedback, would be would be just such a gift to me. And my next workshop, once again, will be 2 Saturdays from today. So this will be on May 3rd at 9 a.m. So mark your calendars and I will announce the next topic. If there is anything at all that you are like, oh, I would love for you to talk about more of this or go over this, drop that in the feedback survey so that I can build that around what you guys want. And then lastly, my exclusive bonus offerings for you all. If you are in the LA region or you know that you are coming anytime soon, I am offering 25% off my in-person sessions for physical therapy, movement optimization, where I take you through a very comprehensive 60 to 75 movement optimization session where I thoroughly assess your whole body posture, your functional movements, just to see how your body's moving and if there's any imbalances, muscle-wise, joint-wise, that we need to address. And then depending on what you need, I do a very unique type of myofascial release, depending on your needs once again. And then I prescribe you with corrective exercises specific to your needs. So definitely message me if that is something that you want to get set up. And then I am bringing back my integrative health coaching. So if you are wondering what in the world is integrative health coaching, well, if you are in a position where you are like, I'm trying to get not only my body right, but I'm trying to get my nutrition right. I'm also in this phase where I'm trying to work through some thought patterns that I feel like are no longer serving me, but it just keeps recurring. This program is for you. And if you would like to learn more specifically about how this may serve you, I offer these one-on-one coaching containers where I work with you personally to provide you as much feedback and support and resources so that you can step into the next best version of yourself possible. My goal is to help enlighten and share as much resources that can help guide you towards your just overall optimal self health and wellness wise. So tune into that. And then lastly, I am looking for 3 serious people who are trying to get towards a specific goal, whether that's health-wise, personal, or professional, and would like to experience a one-on-one, two-on-one coaching between me and a very good colleague of mine, Coach L, who is such a phenomenal life and relationship coach and self-love coach master. So please, if you would like to be one of our honored guests, we would love to guide you through what that 1-hour coaching session would be. So if you are interested in any of those, please feel free to email me, message me on Instagram, whatever it is. These are all just of all the different containers in which I want to support you all. So if that is clearly there's no questions because this is a recording. So thank you for joining me once again. And I look forward to possibly seeing you all at my next workshop.